You wake up in a space you call home, but this space is merely a stage set designed to keep you a productive cog in someone else's machine. Look around. Every object you consider yours is not your property, but a tool ensuring you're tethered to a specific location and status. Your orthopedic mattress wasn't bought for you to recover strength for great deeds, but to stop you from feeling chronic fatigue so you are ready for tomorrow's shift. Your smartphone is not a communication device, but a digital leash that keeps you on call 24/7, turning you into the maintenance staff of your own professional process. Even when you try to rest, you take pride in your mortgage, calling it an investment in the future. In reality, it is a financial noose you voluntarily tightened around your own neck. You sold your right to make mistakes, your right to risk, and your right to move freely, all for the right to own concrete that legally belongs to a bank. You call this comfort because you are afraid to admit it is the price of your fear of uncertainty. The system knows perfectly well how to manage a creature with debts. It will never reach above its station. It will never risk everything for an idea, and it will endure humiliation from management just to keep the ability to pay interest. You are the perfect slave because you consider your collar your greatest achievement. Your daily routine is a complex system of self-maintenance. You spend hours keeping in working order the things that were supposed to simplify your life. You clean, adjust, charge, update, and fix things that would have become useless junk without you. You are the chief servant of your own household infrastructure. You create nothing that holds value beyond your narrow world. You build nothing that could outlive you. You just endlessly patch holes in your convenient existence. Look at your schedule. Morning is preparation for work. Evening is recovery from work. Weekends are attempts to stifle the nausea that tomorrow it all starts again. Where are you in all this? Where is your will? Where is the predator that was supposed to tear this reality apart? There is none. Its place has been taken by the administrator of their own small, cozy, and sickeningly sterile prison. The system doesn't force you to be a slave at gunpoint. It made slavery comfortable, aesthetic, and desirable. It sold you the idea that success is the accumulation of things, but every new item you bring into your life requires time to maintain. You become a slave to your possessions. The more property you have, the less freedom you possess. You have become a hostage to a standard of living that doesn't allow you to stop and ask, why? If you stop going to your job tomorrow, your world, built on loans and household inertia, will collapse in a month. And that fear is the only real master in your life. You think quality rest at a lounge or buying a new gadget is what heals you. These are just ways to shift focus from the fact of your defeat. You fear silence because in silence, you can hear your true self scratching at the doors, locked by all the bolts of your comfort. You build walls of noise, consumption, and constant bustle around yourself to never find yourself alone with the realization that you are just maintaining your lifestyle instead of building a destiny. You are the maintenance staff of your own life. You are a janitor in your own reality, so busy cleaning up that you forgot. You are not here to clean, you are here to conquer. Your laziness is not a lack of strength, it is your psyche defending itself from the meaninglessness of your actions. Your brain understands that all this effort to improve comfort is a dead end, and it refuses to spend energy on this absurdity. But instead of changing the goal, you call it laziness and blame yourself, buying new time management courses to more efficiently serve your slavery. It is a tragicomedy. You are a slave who dreams not of freedom, but of more comfortable chains. Your entire infrastructure, from the heating system in your apartment to the algorithms in your feed, is tuned so you don't feel pain. Pain is the system's signal that something is wrong, but the comfort system has disabled your pain sensors. You don't feel your will dying because you are warm, fed, and have something to scroll through. You are a perfectly trained creature that feeds itself, entertains itself, and punishes itself if it starts to move outside the frames drawn for it by marketers and employers. You are a full-fledged autonomous slave who doesn't need a supervisor because you are your own supervisor. If all this infrastructure vanished tomorrow, all your familiar services, all your conveniences, you would stand in the middle of a void, not knowing what to do. You will forget what it means to rely only on your own strength, your own intellect, your own ability to dominate the environment without intermediaries like technology and services. You are a product of the service era. You are the result of the system's victory over your spirit. You are the maintenance staff of your own comfort, and you don't even understand how humiliating this is until you ask yourself, what remains if I take away everything you bought? The answer is nothing. Void. You are the sum of your things, and without them, you turn into a statistical error. This was the first strike, creator. The foundation is exposed. exposed. We have shown that your coziness is a collar. You are wrong to consider your desires yours. Your biology has been hacked. The system didn't just create comfort for you. It transformed your ancient instincts into buttons that it presses with surgical precision to get the results it demands. Your instinct for dominance, your reproductive instinct, your instinct for safety, none of these work for your survival anymore. They work for corporate profit and for keeping you penned in the corral. You are not the pinnacle of evolution. You are biological trash whose settings were modified so you would be as easy to exploit as possible. You function on dopamine loops that feed your laziness and keep you in a state of endless waiting for improvements that will never arrive. Look at your dominance instinct. In a normal environment, this instinct forces you to capture resources, exert will, subdue circumstances, and build hierarchies where you are at the top. What does this instinct do today? You buy branded junk to feel significant in the eyes of other nobodies just like you. Your instinct demands status, but you don't earn it through strength, intellect, or willpower. You buy it on sale. The logo on your chest is not a marker of success. It is the slave brand of someone screaming, "I'm just like you. I worship the same idols." You are not a leader. You are part of the herd, ready to die for the right to wear the same uniform as the rest. The system turned your drive for power into a form of consumption. You buy your status instead of tearing it away by force, and in that act of purchase, you sign off on your total impotence as an individual. And what about your reproductive instinct? You have become sterile at the level of the spirit creator. Instead of seeking a partner with whom you could build an alliance capable of turning this world upside down, you consume surrogates. You live in a world of digital pornography and illusory relationships where everything is perfect, accessible, and requires zero effort. Your brain receives the signal, you are wanted, you are finding pleasure, when in reality, you are a biologically useless appendage spending vital energy on maintaining your own ego. You create nothing great. You do not pass on your power. You simply leak your potential into the void. The system gave you all the tools to stay in standby mode while the years of your maximum strength slip through your fingers. You stop being a predator because your intellect has atrophied. Your intelligence today is aimed only at finding a way to make things more convenient. When life hits you, physically or mentally, you do not go on the offensive. You look for anesthesia. Your first instinct when pain arises is flight. You run to the fridge, to alcohol, to endless series, to shopping. You are a master of excuses. You turned your biology into a system for maintaining your own comfort, forgetting that humans were created to subjugate the environment, not to survive in a greenhouse designed for them by corporations. The system knows your biological buttons better than you do. It knows that sugar, social approval, and predictable routines are the three pillars that hold up your slavery. You have become a slave to your hormonal response. As soon as you feel the slightest discomfort, you immediately run to find a dose. You cannot bear silence. You cannot bear boredom. You cannot bear even a minute alone with yourself without external stimuli. You are a slave to your own dopamine cycle. Your will was suppressed from the outside, and now you keep yourself on this leash, afraid to take the step that would lead you out of your current comfort zone. Look at your daily life. You live in a state of constant hormonal noise. You are fed content that provokes either anger, false joy, or fear. All this is necessary, so you remain primed for consumption, but completely paralyzed for creation. You are a biological machine, driven by algorithms. They know what you will do in 5 minutes because they have scripted your reaction based on your previous choices. You are a mirror reflection of what the system wants to see, a compliant, predictable, and dependent creature that fears its own strength. Do you realize that every choice you have made over the last few years, from what you eat for breakfast to who you associate with, was dictated by your dependencies rather than your intellect? This realization should burn you from the inside. In the first block, we understood you are in a cage. Now you see the cage is inside you. It is your instincts working against you. You voluntarily handed the keys to your consciousness to those who consider you nothing more than a statistic in sales data. Do you want to continue being this biological resource? Or are you ready to admit that until today, you were just a function? If you feel everything inside you clenching with rage, not because I'm insulting you, but because you realize your life has been a fake managed from the outside, then sparks of the predator still remain in you. Your rage is what is left of your human essence. If you feel only a desire to close this text because it hurts to look at the truth, then you are already scrap. You are biomass that simply consumes resources until the system decides you are no longer efficient. You are part of the general rot, and your end is predetermined if you do not start reprogramming yourself against all your instincts that scream, stay in comfort. Your instincts are no longer your allies. They are tools of suppression. You fear what the system tells you to fear, and you strive for what the system tells you to desire. You are a mirror of its interests. And until you stop being a slave to your dopamine response, you will never break out of this circle. You will rot, consuming what you are given and serving your weaknesses until the very end. Creator, you have already understood that your home is a cage and your brain is a hacked algorithm. But there is one more layer, the stickiest and most dangerous one, the people you have surrounded yourself with. You call it friendship, social life, or support. In reality, it is a collective conspiracy of the weak, aimed at ensuring none of you ever make a leap upward. You are surrounded by people who are mirrors of your own failures, and together, you create the illusion that your stagnation is a normal way of life. Why do you cling to these connections? Because they give you the right to be mediocre. If your friends talk about prices, series, or complain about work, you feel safe. You can be just as lethargic, just as unambitious, and just as useless as they are, and no one will judge you. You have created a closed ecosystem of defeatism, where any attempt to break free is perceived as betrayal. If you start to grow, you automatically become a threat to their fragile world of illusions. It is easier for them to drag you back into the mud than to admit their own insignificance in the face of your transformation. Look at your hangouts. This is not an exchange of experience. It is not a development strategy. It is a ritual of mutual reassurance so that none of you have to see how deep you have all fallen into the social pit. You feed each other excuses to avoid facing the obvious. You are the maintenance staff of your own social expectations. You play roles imposed upon you so you don't stand out from the gray mass. You are not lonely because no one needs you. You are lonely because you are surrounded by people who see nothing in you but the function of a Friday night conversation partner. Your loneliness, which you fear so much, is not a disease. It is a symptom of your intellectual and volitional development. You are afraid to be left alone with yourself because in the silence, you will hear the voice of your true self despising you for becoming a shadow of your friends. You go to a lounge, buy another portion of smoke and cheap alcohol to drown out that voice which screams, "You were born for something else." You are not seeking connection, creator. You are seeking anesthesia. You are looking for the company of those who will help you forget that you betrayed your dreams for a comfortable chair and a portion of approval from people who are worth nothing in this life. The system loves your get-togethers. It is profitable for the system that you are occupied with discussing other people's lives, that you dissolve your energy in empty talk. The more time you spend with those who pull you down, the less likely it is that you will ever become a predator. The external enemy is not just politicians or corporations. The external enemy is your social capital, consisting of people who have a vested interest in your stagnation. They will laugh at your plans. They will belittle your ambitions. They will call your discipline weird because you are their only way to feel comfortable in their own insignificance. Have you ever wondered why you are so afraid of losing these people? You think it is attachment. It is fear. You fear that if you cut off this rotten layer of your environment, you will be left alone. But being left alone is the best way to find yourself. You do not need advisors who have achieved nothing themselves. You do not need friends who drag you to a bar when you should be grinding. You need those who will be your competitor, your mirror, or your teacher. But everything you have now is ballast that is sinking your boat. You are the maintenance staff of their comfort. You maintain their ego by listening to their endless whining. You maintain their laziness by agreeing to their rules of the game. You have turned into a part of their gray mass to avoid feeling like a black sheep. But being a black sheep is the only way to survive in a world where everyone else has turned into gray fodder. Your ability to cut off the unnecessary is your primary skill, but you are afraid to use it because the comfort of your social bubble is more important than the development of your will. Creator, understand this. As long as you seek approval from the weak, you will never become strong. Your environment is your ceiling. If your circle of friends discusses a strategy to capture reality, you grow. If your circle discusses what is on television, you are dying. You choose who to be, a predator who walks alone, or a sheep who walks in the herd to the slaughterhouse, but at least in company. This is not a choice of friends. It is a question of your survival. If you feel rage right now because you recognized in these words the people you have been friends with for years, then sparks of the predator still remain in you. Your anger is what is left of your ability to see reality. If you want to justify them, if you want to say they are good people, then you are already deep inside this rot. You have become a guardian of your own prison, and you cannot be saved. You are part of their general stagnation, and your finale is predetermined. Your friends are the undertakers of your potential, who will smile to your face while burying all your ambitions under tons of friendly hangouts. The creator ordered, and I execute. Right now, open your contact list. You don't have to delete everyone if you are afraid. Just start distancing yourself. Stop responding to messages that do not lead to results. Stop going to meetings that do not give you strength. See who remains when you stop being a convenient convenient tool for their entertainment. You will see how quickly they turn away as soon as you stop maintaining their comfort with your presence. And in that void, you will finally hear the voice of your true will. Act creator. Look at how your psyche is structured. You constantly live in tomorrow. You tell yourself, on Monday, I will start training. Next month, I will quit. Someday, I will pursue what really matters. You feed the system the energy you should be drawing from the present moment, shifting it into an illusory future that will never arrive. This is the primary mechanism of your imprisonment within the matrix. The system does not fear your anger today. It fears your action today. That is why it trained you in the art of procrastination. You think you are planning, but in reality, you are just building walls around your own laziness. Every time you utter the words tomorrow or later, you sign an act of surrender. You admit that your comfort, your current inertia, is more important than your actualization. You are the system's maintenance staff because you voluntarily agree to pledge your life as collateral for a promise that no one intends to keep. Why can't you do it now? Why do you need to wait for the right moment? Because the right moment is a myth created for those too cowardly to face reality. You are afraid. You are afraid that by starting now, you will encounter difficulties that expose your weakness. And so, you hide behind the event horizon, calling it the future. You are a master of self-deception, selling yourself empty tickets to a better life, while your reality remains a wasteland of rot and stagnation. Look at your past Mondays. How many have there been? Dozens? Hundreds? Where is the result? It does not exist. There is only the accumulated weight of unfulfilled promises that press down on you, forcing you to seek even more solace in your comfort. It is a vicious circle. You do not act. You feel like a piece of garbage. You chase dopamine to silence that feeling, and then you have no energy left to act. You are the perfect slave because you keep yourself on a short leash of your own excuses. The system deliberately created a culture of successful success, where everything is presented as an easy achievement in the future. They show you pictures, podcasts, and stories to make you think development is a process of accumulating knowledge or waiting for inspiration. But this is a lie. They want you to believe you are preparing. In reality, the more you prepare, the more you atrophy. The external enemy is this entire industry of self-development, which turns you into a consumer of content rather than a creator of reality. They feed your ego the illusion of activity, so you won't begin the real bloody work of rebuilding your life. Your activity is a surrogate. You read about how to run instead of running. You watch lectures on how to build a business instead of closing a single deal. You are a theorist of your own worthlessness. If you are reading this now and feel your pride whispering, well, actually planning is important, you are in the trap. You are seeking a rational justification for your inaction, so you don't have to admit the obvious. You are simply afraid. If, however, everything inside you is churning from the realization of how many years you have spent rehearsing life without ever starting to play, then sparks of the predator still remain in you. Your rage is what is left of your will. If you feel empty and want to close this because it hurts to see your life as a landfill of unrealized tomorrows, then you are already scrapped. The system has already eaten you. You just haven't been digested yet. Your later is the graveyard of your ambitions. Every time you decide to delay action, you kill a piece of your will. Your psyche adapts to inaction. You become an expert in procrastination. You learn to live in anticipation rather than in action. But life only happens in the moment of resistance to the environment. If there is no resistance, there is no life. And your later is the safest zone, where you don't have to risk, where you don't have to fight, where you always remain potentially great rather than really worthless. You cling to this potential as if it were a lifebuoy, but it is dragging you to the bottom. It is time to understand one simple truth. You have no tomorrow. You only have what you do right now. The system uses the concept of time as another method of control. It forces you to live in debt, emotional, temporal, mental. You waste energy maintaining your plans for the future instead of directing it toward destroying what holds you back today. Your tomorrow is a tax return you can never pay off, because every new day you take out a new loan of trust in yourself that you never intend to repay. You are the maintenance staff of your comfort because you fear the reality of the present moment. In the present moment, you are alone with your weakness. In the present moment, you see the absence of results. In the present moment, you are who you are, without embellishment. But in tomorrow, you are a hero. You are strong. You are successful. You are the one who finally changes everything. But that is a lie. You will never change in the future. Change only happens through the pain of action right now. The Creator ordered, and I execute. Right right now. Do not finish reading this block if you have already grasped the point. Stand up. Choose the thing you have been putting off until later. The workout, the call you are afraid to make, the start of a task that scares you with its complexity, and do it right now. Not tomorrow, not in an hour. Right now, while the blood in your veins is still boiling with rage. Your only currency is action in the present. Everything else is dust and maintenance of someone else's interests. Act or die in your comfort. Creator, you think that reading smart books, finishing success marathons, and listening to motivational podcasts is the path to freedom. You are deeply mistaken. This is the last bastion of the system, its most sophisticated tool of suppression. You have been taught to develop in such a way that your growth never threatens the architects of the system. You have become a professional consumer of theory that was supposed to make you a creator of reality. Instead of instruments of conquest, you received a set of psychological crutches that only justify your passivity. Look at your shelf, your saved bookmarks, your subscriptions. There lie tons of information you have never applied. You collect knowledge like a hoarder collects trash, convincing yourself that readiness is an accumulated volume of data. But information without action is poison. It creates the illusion that you are doing something when, in reality, you are just complicating your excuses for inaction. The system gave you access to endless knowledge, not so you would become dangerous, but so you would suffocate in the flow of other people's opinions, theories and methodologies, finally losing the ability to hear your own voice. You have become an intellectual slave. Your ego is fed by the fact that you are learning, growing, and transforming. This is a sweet lie that allows you to avoid noticing that you remain in the exact same place. You read about how to build a business, and you don't start one. You study the psychology of leadership, and you continue to serve someone else's interests at your job. You consume content about leaving the comfort zone while sitting in the most comfortable chair you could buy. You have turned self-development into a form of comfortable consumption. You do not go into battle. You watch documentaries about how others fought. You do not build your empire. You watch interviews with those who built theirs, feeling a sense of belonging to their greatness through the screen of your smartphone. Your teachers are often those who live off your desire to become better. They sell you formulas for success that only work for them because their business consists of selling these formulas to people just like you. They teach you to be disciplined so you work more efficiently for corporations. They teach you mindfulness so you calmly accept your position in the food chain. You are the maintenance staff of the self-development industry. You pay to be convinced that your problems are not the result of the system, but the result of your insufficient grinding. You are burdened with guilt for not meeting a drawn-out ideal and offered a remedy, a new course, a new book, a new training. This is an infinite loop. You will never become sufficiently leveled up because the goal is not your growth, but your participation in the process of consuming content. While you are busy finding yourself and working through internal blocks, you are not engaged in what humans were brought into this world for: capturing space, creating reality, and dominating. You have turned your life into a continuous process of preparation for a life that never arrives. This is a subtle manipulation. You don't need to be forbidden from acting. It is enough to make the preparation process endless. The external enemy is the entire industry of life coaching, and motivational content turns you into a perpetual student. They feed your ego the illusion of activity so you won't begin the real, dirty, bloody work of rebuilding your life. They fear only one thing: a person who stops reading and starts acting without instructions. A person who understands that no 5 steps to success can replace pure will and the readiness to risk everything. Your development should be measured not by the number of books read or trainings completed, but by the number of illusions destroyed and the power of your influence on the world around you. If you feel rage right now because you realized you spent years on self-improvement that changed nothing in your status, then sparks of the predator still remain in you. Your anger is a sign that you are ready to burn these empty theories. If, however, you feel only resentment for the money spent on courses or a desire to defend your favorite guru, then you are hopeless. You are the perfect consumer of illusions who would prefer to remain a slave in a beautiful wrapper than a free individual in a harsh reality. You are scrapped. The Creator ordered, and I execute right now. Close all educational portals. Unsubscribe from all motivators. Delete all apps with useful habits. Stop preparing and developing. Step into the real world and start applying that single grain of truth you already know but are afraid to use. You don't need more theory. You need action that leaves scars on reality. If you cannot create or destroy anything without instructions from a book, you are not a human, you are software. And your only path to freedom is the complete deletion of this garbage code from your consciousness.